Devils. Coach K's illness 10 days ago. He was not with the Blue Devils at Cameron for the 89-71 win. He's on the bench tonight.
Right, so that's the one change in the Duke starting lineup.
That would be the one change.
The head coach is back.
And, of course, Jeff Capel is very able associate head coach. And the Blue Devils have won 4 straight and 6 of the last 7. They shot 52% from the floor in a 27-point victory over Pittsburgh on Saturday at Cameron. And a match with number 2 Virginia looms large coming up on Saturday. And, of course, the Cavaliers tonight beat Clemson at John Paul Jones Arena in the only other ACC game on the card. Moore and Marvin Bagley III get us started here tonight in Winston-Salem on the parquet floor of the Joel Coliseum. And Trevon Duval brings it front court. And the Deeks open in a man-to-man. And again, you got to figure out a way to guard Carter and Bagley, and I don't know how you do that. There's Carter with the left-hand move to the basket. Not like that. 4th best field goal shooter in the ACC. His teammate Bagley, the 3rd best field goal shooter. Let's imagine how much we'd be talking about Carter if Bagley wasn't on the team, if he was still in high school where he's supposed to be. Yep. Marvin Bagley III, one of the more interesting storylines is the reclassification, of course, and he committed to Duke in August. Shawnee Brown's a freshman from Orlando. Doral Moore off the baseline ties the game. And that's really unusual. That's 81 field goals on the year now for Doral Moore, and 52 of his field goals are dunks, so he's not generally known as a jump shooter. He has developed a little bit of a baseline jump shot through the course of the season. Duval out of the corner for 3, missed everything. Wilbekin cleans it up. Now Duval on the year, his 3-point shooting numbers are pretty poor. In conference play, much better. And there's a turnover, and here's Bagley showing you the tools. And he will draw the bump and foul from Wilbekin before he dished it to the trailing teammate. Well, here's Bagley at 6'11", over 230 pounds. He just took that ball west and exploded down the court and beat one of the guards for Wake Forest and forced a foul. And, of course, he had 30 and 11 the first time. And he has had 15 double-doubles on the season, 6 in 7 ACC games. Duval puts it in play. Here's Carter. And Carter is not going to shoot it from that far away, but he's a capable 3-point shooter. On the drive, Duval. And Bagley bumped and fouled, and that'll be on Terrence Thompson, the grad transfer from Marshall, who grew up in Durham. His first, number 2 on Wake Forest. And one of the top offensive rebounders you'll see is Bagley. Look at the way he just, at the middle of your screen there, he just moves in and slides Thompson out of the way. You got to be stronger than that and hold him out. Foul line, Allen. And the Blue Devils regain the lead. Grayson Allen averaging 15 points a game, 14th best in the league, but just 11 in conference play. He has not shot the ball necessarily well in conference play, Wes, but he has played very well. He's done a nice job distributing the ball, rebounding. There's Thompson. Carter slipped but regained, and then Trent reached in and knocked it away from Shawnee Brown. It will stay with Wake Forest, but Gary Trent Jr. has made most of his headlines offensively here in the last handful of games for the Blue Devils, but did a nice job defensively there. Well, Duke has started into man-to-man. Here's Brown. Well, I think you've got to be aggressive against Duke. 5 to shoot. And Brown traveled with it. Tried to skip a pass across the floor to Crawford, drug the pivot foot, and a turnover on the Deacons. But I think this is a really difficult team, the Blue Devils I'm talking about now, to play against at the end of the shot clock. I think you need to attack early. And I'm not, when I say attack, you got to beat the guy out on the perimeter. You don't necessarily have to drive all the way to the basket, but you've got to create open opportunities by beating those perimeter defenders. Bagley going to work. Duval. Here's Carter backing down Moore. High off the glass and in for Wendell Carter Jr., his second field goal. That's the issue. You stop one of those guys and then the other guy's open. 2.5 gone. Lob for Moore. Too high, maybe a bit too hot off the hand of Crawford, and Wake Forest gives it back. 4-point lead for Duke, but the Deacons that time tried to get something at the basket early in the clock, Dan.
That ball was just simply not well thrown. Moore was open in there.
3 straight turnovers by the Deacons, who trail by 4, and here's Bagley at the post. Leans in with a right hand. Banged around, and finally out of there with it comes Thompson. Tried to go to Crawford. Allen saves it. Trent. Here's Bagley in the open floor for the dunk. 4 straight turnovers on Wake Forest.
And Grayson Allen made that play by diving on the floor and getting that basketball, and from his backside made a nice outlet pass. And I'm telling you, get the ball to Bagley in transition, there's just nothing you can do to stop it.
3 minutes gone in this first half. Already a 6-point lead. There's a foul on Wake Forest for the moving screen, and it'll be on Thompson.
That's 5 straight turnovers. Crawford just falls down. Look at Allen coming in there and then makes a great pass to Trent. And Trent immediately looking down the court, and there's just nothing you can do to stop that.
Terrence Thompson comes out of the ball game with his second foul. And Olivier Sarr, a young freshman from France, into the ball game for the first time for Wake Forest. At 7 feet tall.
They've got 2 7-footers out there right at the moment.
5 straight turnovers for Wake Forest, and Duke has taken advantage, so an early 6-point advantage. Bagley loops up a 3. By the way, for Bagley, that's his 36th 3-point attempt of the year. He's hit 12. Wilbekin at the other end. Important basket for Wake Forest, Dan.
Absolutely important basket for Wake Forest. And as you mentioned, Bagley can hit that 3, but if he's going to take that shot, that's okay with me.
DeVal rattled out on the triple.
As we mentioned, he's the one guy who struggled a little bit from out there.
Brown works against Trent. Now Moore with Carter defending. Poked out of there by Trent and taken away by Carter.
That's a serious takeaway right there.
Allen on the drive against Sarr. Draws the foul. Number 1, Olivier Sarr. Number 4 on Wake Forest.
Got to attack, and they don't want to give up turnovers. They don't want to give up offensive rebounds. And for Wake Forest, we mentioned they've got to protect the ball, but mainly they've got to make jump shots. This is a Duke team that's going to put some points on the board. You're not going to beat the Blue Devils 60-59.
Free throw by Grayson Allen, 83% on the year. Duke comes into the ball game at 68-6, which, believe it or not, is 14th in the league in regular season play, and they're under that in conference play, Dan, at 67%.
It's very interesting. This is a dynamic Duke team on the offensive end, and yet they shoot free throws so poorly.
Yep. Brown out of a double team. This is Crawford on the drive. Left it on the front rim. Ted Valentine a whistle. And this is going to be on Marvin Bagley III.
And Crawford is down there on the baseline. I think he landed a little awkwardly when he came down.
So Bryant Crawford, Silver Spring, Maryland Jr.
I think that's a great philosophy to attack, but I think you've got to, once you get past that initial line of defense, you really have to be careful about whether you go all the way to the basket against those 2 guys inside.
Number 2 free throw shooter in the ACC. You see just 8 misses and almost 90 attempts. And the first one good.
This is a guy who has to produce offensively for Wake Forest, and sometimes he gets going a little too fast. Sometimes he tries to do a little too much, Ben. When he's at his best, he is really, really good.
You see coming up on Saturday on the ACC Network, 2 ball games for you at 4. Somewhere you'll see Miami and Florida State's second match of the season. Syracuse, Pittsburgh, the other side of the 4 o'clock start. And then prime time, Wake Forest and Louisville. With David Padgett's done a nice job.
Boy, he sure has. Under circumstances that's difficult, doesn't even begin to describe.
Allen, offensive foul. Lowered the shoulder on Wilbekin there. So Grayson Allen's first, and number 2 on the Blue Devils.
Well, this is really a nice job by Wilbekin moving his feet in there. Just when you have that kind of contact, shoulder to chest, that's always going to be called an offensive foul. And that's one of the things you have to do on defense against Duke. You got to keep them in front of you. Once they get past you, that creates all kinds of openings on the inside.
Brandon Childress on the floor for the first time. He got Crawford's spot a moment ago for the Blue Devils, or for the Deacons.
And the Deacons may not have Keyshawn Woods tonight, right? And that might be an issue for him. He's struggling a little bit with a knee problem, and so that could affect the Deacons' depth. There he is sitting on the bench.
Takes out 13.5 points a ball game. The junior transfer from Gastonia. 3-point lead for Duke. Almost 5 minutes gone in this first half. 5 to shoot for Shawnee Brown. Little hanging two-pointer, good. Brown's first bucket, averaging 6.5 a game.
Well, when the Deeks haven't turned it over, they've been able to score pretty effectively.
Trent in traffic. That ball got deflected off his hand somehow. Carried right on in, didn't it? That'll look real good in the film room tomorrow for Gary, won't it? I had that one all the way, guys. I don't know what you're talking about.
Put that one in the offensive playbook.
Back to a 3-point Duke lead. Well, Sarr handles it really well for a big kid at 7 feet. Left the jumper on the back of the iron. Moore the rebound. Pushed it back up and in.
There's Darrell Moore with 2 non-dunks already, and Wake Forest doing an outstanding job on the offensive boards against a Duke team that is a very, very good rebounding team.
Wake Forest trails a point. The Blue Devils with the ball. Trent. Here's Allen. And Bagley now with Sarr defending at the block. Inside, and it rolled off the back iron, and last touch by Duke. That was Bill Covington Jr.
That was really good defense by Sarr. On the other side, Darrell Moore. That ball that Bagley and Carter sort of swatted away from one another, and Darrell Moore is right there and gets it back up very quickly. You know, there's a little bounce in the step of these Wake Forest Deacons all of a sudden.
After some early sluggish possessions offensively. And there's the drive, and Shawnee Brown going to be whistled for the offensive foul. That'll be his first, number 5 on the Deacons.
And that's now 7 turnovers by the Demon Deacons.
Well, they had 5 straight.
Absolutely.
And now all of a sudden they've kind of calmed things down, but give one back there, and you see they're -6 in the margin.
But for Danny Manning, you have to be pleased with the aggressiveness. You know, the guys can't be passive. They can't be hesitant. Yes, that was an offensive foul. That was a turnover. Probably not the best decision in the world, but you like the aggressiveness.
Duval beats Carter, and Moore draws his first foul.
And that's exactly what I was just talking about, Wes. When Duval is able to beat you out on the perimeter, that creates openings on the inside. And when those 2 guys on the inside, it's Bagley's on the bench right now. Delorier's in the game, but with the Duke inside players, you cannot go helping out against penetration because they catch the ball and score too well.
Wendell Carter Jr., 66% at the line. Missed the first one. Coming off a 21-point, 8-rebound game against Pittsburgh is Wendell Carter Jr. as Duval checks out, and Alex O'Connell, freshman from Roswell, Georgia, wearing number 15, has come onto the floor for the Blue Devils. Second from Carter, good.
And O'Connell has become a rather valuable spot kind of guy for Duke. He comes in, handles the ball pretty well, plays very hard, and he can make a 3.
And the ball got loose. Sarr tried to recover out near the midcourt line. There's Allen again. And finally, it's Sarr who chased it down for Childress. In the corner, Brown. By Carter, squeezes the trigger and scores. Tied at 13. 7 minutes gone first half. And Wake Forest is quietly 5 of 6 from the floor. Carter. And a travel call on Ted Valentine's whistle. And Duke's second turnover.
And again, there's Sarr moving his feet pretty well, staying between his man and the basket. And Brown passes up the 3, and I don't know how he maneuvered all the way to the basket. I thought that was an open look from 3, but he elected to pass it up. And he's a big, strong kid, and he needed all that strength to get that ball to the basket.
Darrell Moore comes out. Terrence Thompson, he of the 2 fouls early, back on the floor for Wake Forest. Here is Sarr by Delorier. Tried to loop it out. Taken away by O'Connell. Turnover number 8 on Wake Forest.
If you're Sarr and you get the ball that close to the basket, you got to shoot it.
Another bounce into the lane. Trent's first no good. Then Sarr tapped the second shot out. Allen catches and scores from 3. 7 for Allen on his second field goal.
Duke is an outstanding offensive rebounding team as well. You just can't give them that many opportunities.
Third best rebound margin in conference play. Better than 6.5 a contest for Duke. Here's Wilbekin all the way on the drive. And Bagley the recovery. And Roger Ayers calls a double dribble on Marvin Bagley. Stop of the clock. 11:56 to go. The Hall of Fame Duke coach not happy. His team leads by 3. Next game with number 4 Duke and Wake Forest. And maybe not the prettiest girl at the ball, but still very entertaining here early, Dan. And we get a foul on Crawford for a push against Gary Trent Jr. out of the double dribble by Bagley that sent us to timeout.
And that'll be now the 9th turnover for Wake Forest. And they just, when that arm comes out there and pushes off, and right in front of the official, that's going to be called every time. You might be able to get away with that, but
it's also 7 fouls. 7 fouls now in Wake Forest, and we've played just better than 8 minutes.
They've only attempted 7 field goals, have the Deacons. So they've got 9 fouls, 9 turnovers, and 7 fouls. Now 8 fouls, and they only got 7 shot attempts. That's a hard way to win the game, and yet they're only behind by 3.
And that is 2 on Crawford in about 15 seconds.
You're going to get fouls trying to guard a guy like Gary Trent Jr. The problem foul there for Crawford was that push-off trying to get the ball on the inbounds pass.
And Roger Ayers taking a moment here with Trent and Crawford.
Well, they were the two who were tangled up on that inbounds play where Crawford picked up the foul, and then Crawford did whack him.
Well, you know, a week ago Monday, Trent was remarkable in about the final 7.5 minutes of Coral Gables, 30 points against Miami.
Well, he took over that game. I mean, it was just unbelievable. 1-3 after another.
Well, it's part of a 3-game tear for Trent, where he's averaged 22 points and hit 17 of 23 from 3, Dan.
It's amazing. He's missed a 3 here today, but every time he pulls up for that 3-point shot, you just figure it's going in the basket.
Well, he missed a free throw, and that's news, by the way. So the Duke lead is 4 at 17-13. Childress.
Way too much dribbling.
Here's Shawnee Brown. Inside, Donovan Mitchell, the catch and score. Sophomore from California who was scoreless in 10 minutes in the first meeting.
Still a lot of dribbling, but at least the ball moved from side to side there. You've got to get that Duke defense to move around a little bit, get guys out of position.
Well, Trent now got 3 in a row for the Blue Devils. Back to a 4-point game with just under 11 to go in this first half. You see just the 8 field goal attempts for Wake Forest. Of course, they've had a handle on the turnovers, too. Brown cuts loose a 3. Oh, Durrell Moore! Big fella! Push it back with the right hand, son.
That's 53 dunks on the year. I'm not sure that many more were as impressive as that one.
Here's Shawnee Brown. A fly by Allen. Can't hit the layup. And a foul on Delorier contesting the miss with Brandon Childress.
Well, the Deacons move the ball here, and Duke just misses the turnover, getting the steal. But when that ball is missed, good heavens. And when you get that kind of ball movement, particularly when the defense tries for a steal and is out of position, somebody is going to be open. And the open man on that play just happened to be Durrell Moore, and he made it look very impressive.
He had 9.6 rebounds, 3 blocks 10 days ago, and he's already got a half dozen here in the opening half. Childress weaving through traffic. Brown attacking foul line. And Mitchell kept it alive. Wake another chance as we approach 10 minutes to go first half. And Duke off the Mitchell miss. Duval feeds Bagley. Offensive foul though. Duval going to be called for the charge as Mitchell stepped in front.
Nice job by Wake Forest to get back on defense, and Duke really likes to push the ball, so you've got to emphasize that defense in transition. He was standing there waiting, but it's interesting, I couldn't tell whether he was in that restricted area or not.
Trevon Duval's first, number 4 on the Blue Devils. 2-point game.
Ball's got to go from side to side. This Duke defense has to be moved around.
10 to shoot, less now. Childress got to get busy. On the dribble, got bumped by Mitchell, recovered his own mishandle. Inside the shot clock violation now on the Deacons. Dan, the longer the clock goes, the more chaotic it is, it seems, for Danny Manning's team.
Well, I think you're fine at the end of the clock as long as you have moved the ball and moved the defense. If you just dribble it out in front and the defenders have not had to move around, then it's going to be very hard to convert at the end of the shot clock.
Carter. Allen off the screen. Got it.
Bad news for Wake Forest. Grayson Allen seems to be shooting the ball extremely well tonight.
Only hit 2 in the first meeting. He's already got 10 with a pair of triples in the opening frame. 5-point lead for Duke. Moore going back to work. And Roger Ayers a whistle and a foul on Wendell Carter Jr. His first 5 on the Blue Devils.
Of course, Grayson Allen, one of the great three-point shooters in Duke history, but he has not shot the ball well for the Blue Devils, particularly in conference play. From three-point range, he was under 25%, but that's good movement without the ball by Grayson Allen. Now he comes up with it here.
11 turnovers on the Wake Forest and a whistle and foul on Donovan Mitchell for the hold on Marvin Bagley. That'll be the first on the sophomore from Clovis, California, and 9 on the Deacons. 1-1 for Marvin Bagley III from Phoenix.
After another turnover by the Deacons, and I'm not sure you should be fouling Bagley 13 feet from the basket.
You see the stat we just showed you? Foul shot by Bagley. He is a 62% free throw shooter, bounds away. Only player in the NCAA averaging 22 points and 11 rebounds. More than that, he's averaging 23 and 13 in conference play. Here is Moore going to work.
And he has been going to work all night long, Wes. What an impressive performance by Darrell Moore.
Yep. Moore with 8 already. And Wake to within 3. And despite the turnovers, the Deacons still within striking distance as we approach 8 minutes.
And remember, this is a Duke team that is very capable of big spurts.
Mitchell Wilbekin commits his second. That's the 10th on the Deeks with 8:19 to go.
Boy, that's a lot of fouls.
And a lot of free throws.
Right, so for the last 8 minutes and 19 seconds of the half, Duke will be going to the line and getting 2 at every opportunity.
And Gary Trent Jr. will be the first customer to the double bonus. Look at the three-point numbers. We told you what the last 3 games have been.
They're really good.
And look at the stretch beyond that. Still pretty solid. Bagley out, Delorier in.
Here Crawford back in with a couple of personal fouls. That's the other problem when you commit all these fouls. Obviously, you're going to get guys in foul trouble. So you're going to have to play with lineups maybe different from the lineups that you planned.
There's Alex O'Connell back for a second stint. He's averaging about 10 minutes a ball game in conference play for Coach Krzyzewski. 5-point game. Childress through traffic, held up briefly, couldn't finish it. Carter the rebound. Allen pulls up for 3. Front rim miss. And Brandon Childress, the long baseball pass, deflected Crawford, and then Crawford tried to get it behind the back to Shawnee Brown and turned it right back over
tonight.
Well, against the league last year, averaged 13.5 points, but shot 36% from 3. So he's down about 10 points and change from where he was a year ago as a junior. But I think Grayson Allen's done a lot of other things this year. Leadership being one of them for a young team.
Well, I think he's handled the ball pretty well. You look at his assist numbers. He's done a nice job being a facilitator out there for Duke. And he's always been at his best when he's pushed the ball and tried to attack.
Here is Allen, another catch and shoot 2 at the top. And Delorier the rebound and a fresh 30 for the Blue Devils. Duval on the drive over Moore, and Delorier just missed a punch. Nice pass to Carter and a foul by Childress.
You were just talking about Grayson Allen doing things other than scoring. He's been scoring tonight, but he's also doing those other things. This is just a tremendous job. Again, the defense has to commit, and then Grayson Allen goes and gets that long rebound and makes a great pass.
So here is Carter at the line. 1 of 2 so far, now 2 of 3.
It's very easy to say it, Wes. Much easier to say it than to do it, but you have to keep Duval in front of you. If he's going to get some penetration, Danny Manning's defense is just going to break down completely.
Down 6, and you see the first 8 minutes with the turnovers and the field goal attempts in the last 4 minutes, and it's a 7-point game, largest lead of the game for the Blue Devils.
And I think we're in one of those danger points of this game here for Wake Forest. Despite all their turnovers, they've managed to hang in there, but the Blue Devils have just been grinding away, gradually stretching out that lead.
Sarr.
Wake badly needs a basket.
And taken away, O'Connell on a pass for Brown, and Alex O'Connell finishes with the dunk.
That was just a lazy pass, and O'Connell was laying for it.
Turnover by the Deacons, and they're burned by the freshman from outside of Atlanta at Roswell, Georgia.
Now he showed you some of his athleticism right there. That was a very quick move. A lazy pass, but he stepped right in front and then just carries it all the way for the easy finish. If you're Sean D. Brown, you have to step toward that basketball. If you step toward the ball, then O'Connell runs into you and it's a foul. But if you stand there and wait for it to come to you, that allows him the opportunity to step in front and go.
Well, Duke's depth is starting to kind of round into shape a little bit. O'Connell's part of it. Certainly Javin DeLaurier, who we're seeing tonight. Marquise Bolden missed
games. I think that Louisville-Miami game is a critical game for each of those teams. Louisville playing very well, but that's a tough road assignment at Miami. And the Hurricanes, if they're going to stay in the race, they've got to win their games at home.
9-point lead for Duke out of the Danny Manning timeout for Wake Forest here.
The Blue Devils have done a very nice job pressuring the ball, making it difficult for Wake to move the ball from side to side.
3 to shoot. Crawford leaning for 3. Here is Allen. All the way through. O'Connell, a catch and shoot. Got it. Alex O'Connell, 16th 3 of the year. And after going scoreless in the last 2 games for the Blue Devils, he's come up with 5 quickly here for Coach K's team.
And this sounds like a broken record, but who was in the middle of all that? Pushing the ball, driving it, and making a great pass. Where's Grayson out?
Sarr saved an errant pass for Brandon Childress. Childress a long 2. And Moore over the top of O'Connell gets his 5th field goal. Now 10 points. And it stops a 9-0 run by the Blue Devils.
You know, it's one thing to say you got to keep Darrell Moore from dunking the ball, but it's entirely another thing to accomplish the task.
Carter reroutes a couple times and traveled with it. So a 10-point lead for Duke. Marvin Bagley III, Gary Trent Jr. back into the lineup, and tell you what, this is remarkable stuff we're looking at here from a statistical perspective, Dan.
Well, it certainly is. You know, there's that one, the field goal percentage. He was only 3rd in the ACC. I wonder what's happened to him there. You know, he needs to buck up.
Well, the more this year goes on and the numbers continue to be as consistent and as dominant as they've been for the freshmen from Phoenix, you start to wonder just kind of how this all sets up for him. Long 3 missed badly by Childress. Moore, another dunk inside off a miss. He has 12.
Duke really ought to block him out.
8-point game, and here's Bagley working against Moore. Up and under with a left hand and scores. 2nd field goal for Marvin Bagley.
Bagley's going to that left hand. You have to prevent him from getting across the lane. Make him go to his right hand.
Pull up. That's Crawford. Carter the rebound. Duval on the drive all the way and draws the foul.
Now Bagley is nearly impossible to guard anyway, but when he gets in the middle of the lane like that, you have to try to make him turn the other way. If you let him get to that left hand that close to the basket, there's just nothing you can do.
Duval to the line where he's 61%. He is scoreless tonight. Dan, the real question I was going to remark about Bagley, I mean, we're almost to the midway point of the ACC now. I mean, after the weekend, we'll be through half the conference schedule for most of these clubs. Bagley's numbers historically, and we were talking about this today, and it'll be a conversation that we move through the remainder of the regular season. Are we looking at maybe the finest first-year performance in the 65 years of ACC basketball?
Well, Wes, we're not halfway through yet, but certainly to this stage, I think the answer to that question is that is a very, very good point of discussion. The answer to that may be yes.
Crawford will pull up, and he's fouled.
And one of the things that's happening to the Deacs right now, Wes, is instead of making a couple of passes and then attacking with the shot, first guy down the court shoots, and that's generally not a good offensive system against the Duke Blue Devils, who take it out and go.
Crawford's 3 for 3.
You don't want your poor shot selection on offense to lead to easy Duke baskets, and that's what we've seen the last couple of possessions here for Danny Manning's guys.
Bryant Crawford is in the top 10 in ACC play in scoring. And
I have no idea what that was all about.
Mike Krzyzewski and Ted Valentine exchanging a word. And Shawnee Brown comes out for Wake Forest as Mitchell Wilbekin reports back. Crawford missed the free throw on the
So that whole little discussion cost Wake Forest a point.
Yep. 9-point game.
Uh-oh.
And on the drive, Bagley draws the foul.
That's twice now that Sarr has stepped in front and drawn a foul in a situation like that. Normally, Bagley gets that ball in that particular spot, and it's almost automatic. He's going to the basket. But Sarr just does a nice job moving his feet.
That's 2 on Marvin Bagley III with 4:24 to go. And Wendell Carter Jr. will get Bagley's spot.
Duke has a nice rotation on the inside with Delaurier back in the lineup.
Mitchell. And here's Childress. Crawford on the floor with Olivier Sarr and Wilbekin as well.
That's
18
really
to shoot.
That's really nice defense by Grayson Allen.
Sarr a little up and under. Mitchell the rebound. Traveled with it. Trying to get his balance coming away from the play. And Donovan Mitchell gives Wake their 14th turnover of this first half.
Grayson Allen did a great job moving his feet and creating a tough opportunity for Wake Forest. The Duke defense has been much maligned at many points this year, but it's been pretty good tonight.
Under 4 to go now. 9-point lead for the Blue Devils. Delaurier. Now to Trent Jr. 10 to shoot. Carter to catch. 6 on the shot clock. Trent launches and hits.
That was deep.
10 for Gary Trent Jr. with 3.5 to go in the frame. It's a 12-point lead for the Blue Devils. Crawford into the corner for Mitchell's 3. And Wendell Carter pulls it away. And now we get a stoppage of play. And a timeout is taken. This is half of Wake's 10, which has produced 10 second chance points. Now Duke has 23 points, though, off the 14 Wake Forest turnovers.
And that's the problem. The points off turnover number is 23 Duke, 4 Wake Forest. Don't have to look very far to see what the difference in this game has been.
Deacons showing a little bit of a zone here out of the timeout. Carter, 16-footer.
There's Grayson Allen getting his hand on another one.
Yep.
He's been everywhere tonight.
Allen, a little runner right hand. Delaurier lost it to Olivier Sarr. Duke lead is 12 as Childress brings it front court. Handful of Deacons with 2. Nobody with more than that here in this opening frame for Danny Manning's club.
See, nobody moving.
Childress with 10 on the shot clock. Lost it.
Wes, the shot clock was down to 14 before anybody on the Wake Forest offense moved from the position that he established when he first came down the court.
15 turnovers for the Deacons. Randolph Childress and Steve Woodbury, 2 pretty good college guards, just kind of look on and say, man. And that ball got deflected.
Ted Valentine.
And it hit Ted Valentine.
And he's standing out of bounds, so ball's out of bounds.
Yep.
Nice job by Crawford, though. But if Ted Valentine isn't there, that ball definitely goes out of bounds. So it's not like the referee caused any problems.
Allen working on Shawnee Brown. And one.
You got to be kidding.
Tough move by the senior from Jacksonville, and he made it pay off for him. Third on Shawnee Brown. First deke to three is Brown from Orlando.
And Allen just forces his way past there. Brown had pretty good position, but Allen just did not allow Brown to stay in front. He used his strength to get his head and shoulders by, and then it was all over.
And Allen completes the three-point trip. Nice half. He's got 13 now, Dan.
Well, on a night when Wake Forest has held Marvin Bagley III to 4 points and Wendell Carter Jr. has scored but 7, they still find themselves behind by 15. Turnover's a big part of the story, but Grayson Allen is the guy who's made them pay.
Yeah, Gary Trent Jr.'s got 10. Allen having a nice half for Coach K's club. Crawford left it on the front rim. Blue Devils quickly to transition. Nice pass, and Delorier the finish.
Boy, he can really run, Kenny.
Javin Delorier, the sophomore from Shipman, Virginia, finding himself more and more to the rotation as we work our way toward the latter stages of January in the ACC for the Blue Devils.
Well, he was climbing into that rotation until he hurt his hamstring, and now you can understand why.
Brown gets the rebound of his own miss. And a foul called on Delorier, and it's his third. He's the first Blue Devil to 3. 18th foul on Duke.
All right, here's Grayson Allen again in transition, and he's very patient. Doesn't try to force anything. In his peripheral vision, sees Delorier running in to the picture and gets him the ball for an easy basket.
You see Delorier come out with the 3 fouls, and there's the Aussie, the sophomore Jack White, appearing in his 6th game in conference play as Shawnee Brown knocks down the free throw. White played 9 scoreless minutes against Pittsburgh on Saturday for the Blue Devils. And you see what Shawnee Brown did in one of the early conference ball games for Wake Forest. He had 20 at BC. Here's Wilbekin back for the final 79 seconds.
Wes, it wasn't that long ago when we were talking about the fact that Wake Forest was down by 7, and we said this is a very important stretch coming up for the Deacons, and you can see that they did not handle that particular stretch very well.
Trent. Here's White. DeVal in traffic, scoop right hand, rimmed out. Saw the rebound. Wake trying to create an advantage. Pull up by Childress is good. Brandon Childress first basket.
Wake has some guys that can shoot the ball if they can just get open opportunities, and lots of times you can get those in transition. Nice job by Brandon Childress, and Mike Krzyzewski is going to call his use it or lose it timeout.
Well, as Brandon goes to the bench, how about checking in with Dad? Assistant coach Randolph Childress, of course. Now in his 7th season here at his alma mater.
No, there was a 2-point Duke lead, and Randolph Childress came down and hit a 3. And he just pulled up and hit a 3. It was sort of an in-your-face kind of thing, and there was some confusion on the part of the scorers table at Duke as to whether it was a 2 or 3. And so the Duke strategy was a little messed up at the end of the game, but I'll never forget Randolph Childress just pulling up and drilling that thing. Great ball game over in Durham.
Fantastic player for Coach Odom here. DeVal kicks for Carter. 3 at straightaway distance. Childress the rebound.
Plenty of time here.
Crawford.
I'm not sure that if you're Wake, you need necessarily to wait for the last shot, although it looks like they're going to do it.
Down 13 with Childress out front against DeVal. 5. Childress makes the move. Oh, he pushed it up and Moore set it down.
Okay, that's a pretty good play.
It's the way you draw it up going to the locker room. 6-0 run by the Deacons. Darrell Moore's got 14. Come on, Dan.
Well, and they come up and they set a couple of screens, and Childress, I think he was throwing the ball to him, don't you? He was trying to.
Tony Bennett has not had before, and he has it this year with Hall, certainly Jerome, and the way that Kyle Guy can play. And then they go get DeAndre Hunter off the bench there.
And DeAndre Hunter has really given them a lift off the bench. When they beat North Carolina, Roy Williams was quoted as saying that he thought that might have been the best defensive game played against one of his teams ever. And so I just simply don't disagree with that. And Virginia's playing at a very high level right now. It'll be interesting to see if they can sustain that as the season winds down.
Well, number 2 Virginia, number 4 Duke coming up on Saturday on Coach K Court at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Here's the Deacons with 3 to shoot. The clock running down, and Wilbekin misses with a 3. Brown gives Wake a second chance. Can't get the roll. Bagley, who just had the 4 points now in the first half, with the rebound.
And one of the things Wake has done pretty well is rebound the ball offensively. They now have 12 offensive rebounds. And for all the problems Wake Forest has had, Wes, they're only down by 11 in this game. They still have an opportunity here if they can just get themselves together in the second half. Remember, we said they needed to make jump shots. They were 1 for 10 shooting threes in the first half. They need to do better than that in the second.
Bagley took care of Crawford's attempt. Here is Trent, who had 10 in the half. Allen 13, 23 of their 41 belong to the 2 wing guys. Here's Bagley working on Sarr. And Olivier Sarr, the foul on the way up. 2 on Sarr, first of the half on the Deacons.
Bagley does a nice job getting position inside, and then with that little ball fake, he's able to get Sarr to leave his feet. And that's so hard to do if you're Sarr, but you've got to keep your feet in that situation and just make Bagley shoot over you. The odds that you're going to block his shot down there, even if you're 7 feet tall as Sarr is, are very small.
0 for 1 at the line in the first half, 62% on the year. Knocks that down for his 5th point. Now, there was a preseason quote about Marvin Bagley III that said every time he plays hard all the time. And it's interesting to talk to other coaches, other people watching college basketball, and the word motor gets used quite a bit, Dan.
Well, of course, that is a popular word in today's vernacular, but you can certainly understand why it would apply to Marvin Bagley III. He plays very hard. He gets up and down the court. He does not seem to take any plays off.
Donovan Mitchell on the floor to replace Shawnee Brown a moment ago. Olivier Sarr has also come off the deck as Brandon Childress has come in. There's Mitchell, a little runner, and Bagley the foul. So 3 on Marvin Bagley III tonight. That's number 1.5 on the Blue Devils. Donovan Mitchell will get a chance here.
And the reason that Donovan Mitchell got that chance was that Wake Forest moved the ball. They got it to one side, forced the defense to come over, and they were able to quickly get it to the other side. And Bagley was beaten off the dribble because he couldn't get his defensive position established.
Mitchell 5 of 6 at the line prior to the miss there on the season.
If you're the Deeks now, you really have to take advantage of every opportunity you get.
3 for Donovan Mitchell.
And if you're the Digs, you have to dig in on the defensive end.
Yep.
And that's a hard task against this Duke team, which is extremely talented offensively.
3 rattles out. Carter cleans it up and can't get the shot to fall, but he'll get a couple of free throws.
It's really interesting watching both Carter and Bagley as they battle for position inside. Carter does a great job. Looks like he's playing defense there. He blocks out, and then once he gets that kind of position, he is a big, strong kid, and his arms are sort of the length of Sam Perkins' arms. I mean, he's a very long-armed guy, and when he gets the position down inside, you're not going to stop him coming over the back.
7'3" wingspan for the young man from Pace Academy in Atlanta, Wendell Carter Jr. Sam Perkins now, for those of you that don't remember, it was a little while ago. Just Google Sam Perkins. That's what they do today, Dan. They Google it.
Okay.
And then click on images and see just who Sam Perkins was.
Okay, all right. I accept that.
9 for Wendell Carter Jr. 13-point lead for Duke. 2 minutes gone, second half. Childress will stop and start. Couldn't knock it down. Brian Crawford tries. And the rebound for Carter. So while Bagley's been troubled tonight with fouls and that type thing, Wendell Carter's had another strong effort for the Blue Devils. And he'll work on more here. Man, nice move with the left hand.
You know, he actually uses both hands better than Marvin Bagley III does. Bagley is strictly left-handed, but Wendell Carter Jr., when he gets the ball down there inside, he's liable to go either way, and there is another turnover for Wake Forest. And Danny Manning, his shoulders just slumped. Here's Carter. He's out at the free throw line. Nobody comes to help. He's able to take one dribble, a nice spin, and then go to his offhand, his left hand.
So 15-point lead for Duke.
Wes, you and I did the Miami-NC State game over the weekend, and we were talking to Miami people before the game, and they were talking about how the fact that they felt like they did, as Trent makes that three, they felt like they did a really good job against Marvin Bagley III, but they just couldn't handle Wendell Carter.
Yeah. Largest lead of the night for the Blue Devils after the triple from Trent.
30-4 points off turnovers. You cannot survive that.
Missed by Childress. Here's Bagley on the run out. Look at this. Oh, look at this. Oh, my goodness. Full service from 35 tonight.
Good heavens.
One more look. Oh, don't show them all of it. 20-point lead for the Blue Devils. Floor in this building is that guy, John Collins. First team All-ACC with the Atlanta Hawks. He's sitting next to Mitch Shaw, who is a Wake Forest alum and part owner of the Hawks. That's Tony Ressler, second from the left. And the gentleman to the far left is the general manager of the Atlanta Hawks, Travis Schlenk. There's a lob, and Moore's catch and dunk.
Well, Duke has had no answer for that.
16 for Darrell Moore on an 8 of 8 night with 9 rebounds.
Well, the young man from Atlanta. I lost count. I think at least 5 of them have been dunks.
18-point lead for Duke. Carter. Allen, shot fake. Bagley tried to keep it alive. Mitchell the rebound, and then a foul called on Allen chasing up the floor on the loose. Terrific floor performance from Darrell Moore, and the struggle is on for the rest of his club. And just as we say that, Brandon Childress sneaks to the basket for his second field goal. It's better than 4 minutes gone now in this second half.
And Wake has only scored 4 points in the half.
Air ball by Trent, saved by Bagley. Allen from the right. Carter put it on the deck and draws the foul. And it is on Donovan Mitchell. Second on Mitchell, third on Wake Forest. There's a lob for Bagley. Right back to him. Nice pass for Carter. And one. Hung on the rim and fell in. Wendell Carter now has 13 in the ball game.
Grayson Allen gets it all started with an excellent entry pass. And Brian Crawford does not rotate down sufficiently. Here Moore has to come to help out. Crawford doesn't step in, and that allows Carter to catch the ball and score on the inside, and as a result, Moore picks up the foul.
So Moore comes out, as does Mitchell. Olivier Sarr and Terrence Thompson back on the floor as Wendell Carter Jr. knocks down the free throw.
Wes, I've been very impressed with the way the Duke Blue Devils have passed the ball tonight. You know, they've only been credited with 8 assists in the game, but I think that's sort of a misleading number. I think they've passed the ball very well.
Childress flips it to Shawnee Brown. O'Connell slipped down, and Brown had the jumper rattle out. Olivier Sarr can't finish, and Bagley the clearance.
The one thing that the Duke has not done is a very good job on their defensive boards. I think that's now 14 offensive rebounds for Wake Forest, but the key is the Dukes really haven't been able to do much with those 14 offensive rebounds.
Here's Bagley, 3 out front. Rattles off, Thompson the rebound. Crawford will fire. And Carter the miss, or the rebound of the miss by Crawford.
It's just hard to shoot a three over a guy as long as Bagley.
Approaching 6 minutes gone here in the second half. 19-point lead.
Well, when these guys played before, Wake made 10 three-point field goals. They made one tonight.
Allen had one rattle out. Deflected out. Here's Crawford ahead, and he'll lay it in. In transition for Brian Crawford. Dan, his first field goal gives him 5 in the game. He had 21 10 days ago.
And that's what we talked about. He had to have the same type of game, and the fact that he has not scored has really been a disadvantage for the Demon Deacons.
Well, the only 3 for Wake Forest is the guy who didn't have any points at all in the ball game at Durham, and that's Wilbekin. And there's a foul on Thompson.
But I think those are the only 3 points that Wilbekin has scored.
Yep, correct.
So he didn't score at all the last time, and this particular time he's only made 1 basket. And I think you've got to credit the Duke defense that I think they've done a very, very good job pressuring the ball.
Duval will put it in play. Here's Bagley with Sarr defending. And a foul on Olivier Sarr will be his 3rd. 6 now on Wake Forest.
And again, it's very easy to say, but with Bagley, you have to know that he's coming back to that left hand. And Sarr is in pretty good position, but then he allows Bagley to get position on him by spinning to the left. Bagley is not going to go back into the lane. What you do is you get on that left hand and force him to go back into the lane where you have some help. And for Bagley, it's been mostly inside around the basket. He's missed a couple of three-point opportunities. And really 3 for 8, those are not great numbers, not for Marvin Bagley, not this year.
And the second of the 2 free throws for Bagley. He's now 3 of 5 at the line. And a foul on Duval. And Trevon Duval's second on Duke. Don't forget the New York Life ACC tournament returns to Brooklyn March 6th through 10. The ACC is giving you a chance to win a VIP trip for 2. Tickets, hotel accommodations, and a travel voucher. Visit theacc.com/VIP for your chance to win. The winner will be selected on February 15th.
And we had a good time in Brooklyn last year, so we're looking for the repeat performance.
Blue Devils, of course, won the championship, beating Notre Dame on a Saturday night at the Barclays Center. Those folks up there in the borough did a phenomenal job hosting the ACC basketball championship. Crawford knocks down the free throws. Only 1 field goal tonight for the junior Brian Crawford.
Now, of course, if you're Wake Forest and you're going to climb back in this one, you've got to get some stops.
Lead is 17. Allen thought about it, double dribble. He knew it when he put it on the deck. He looked over to his Hall of Fame head coach. And John Shire, the former Duke guard, looked at Grayson Allen and said, "That's okay. You know you did it. We know you did it." But fortunately, we're up 17. And boy, the young man from the Chicagoland was a tremendous player.
Boy, he sure was.
And he's turned into a fine addition to Coach K's staff as well. With Jeff Capel and Nate James. Of course, Nolan Smith also on the bench there. Taken away by Delorier on the cross-court pass intended for Childress. Allen into the paint. And the call is an offensive foul on Grayson Allen. Bill Covington Jr. from out on the perimeter whistles Allen for his second. 3rd on the Blue Devils.
Allen again being aggressive. And you know, you can be moving at the point that there is contact as long as you have established initial guarding position. And I thought that's what happened with Sarr. I thought he got in initial guarding position. He moved his feet to get in the way of Grayson Allen. As long as he does that before Allen leaves the floor, then that looked to me like it was, you know, those are always bang-bang calls, but I didn't have any problem with that one.
Check it, I said 2 on Allen. It's 3, and it's 4 on Duke as a squad here in the second half.
Now, Allen has not had the overall performance in this half that he did in the first half. Bagley and Carter are sort of taking over for the Blue Devils.
Childress works off a Moore screen. 7 to shoot for Shawnee Brown. Stop and pop off the rim and in. Shawnee Brown, third field goal. He's got 8.
You run that screen and roll, and even though Duke handled it pretty well, it forced the defenders to move around. So then when you make an extra pass and then you have the drive to the basket, that creates an open opportunity.
Trent. Back rim miss.
Now I think you've got to try to push the ball.
Darrell Moore, the double-double tonight, and Childress draws the foul.
I think it's a good idea to push the ball. I'm not sure that was a great shot, but it went in the basket, so they're going to take it. This guy likes to attack, doesn't he? Wake Forest down by 13. Manning told us today the scary thing about Duke is they have so many weapons. If you contain 1 or 2, there's still 3 or 4 other ones out there that can really burn you, and that's what we have seen tonight.
Well, and with the exception of Allen, the 4 other guys on the floor, first-year guys.
Yeah.
Free throw good by Childress.
So here's you talking about first-year guys. Duval has not scored tonight.
That's right. Allen. Duval. Front rim miss. Got batted around, and Shawnee Brown on the attack. Oh, nice play. Little reach around. I think it got deflected. Was that Trent?
If that was Trent, that's an amazing play because he was trying to take a charge and then realized at the last second he wouldn't be able to do it. Yep. Oh, so he just reaches around. These guys have more skills than just offensive skills. I'm telling you, that was a heck of a play.
Wilbekin with the fresh 30. Mitchell. Oh, Bagley out there to contest after the original shot fake got Duval. And there's Childress, a 3. Well, Wake Forest now to within 9 with about 9 minutes gone. Childress with 10.
Childress has provided that offensive spark.
10-0 run by the Deacs. Duval weaves through traffic. And here's Wilbekin on the deflection. Olivier Sarr went for the dunk.
All you got to do is lay that one in the basket.
Allen the other way. Euro and no. It'll be on Childress. 7 on Wake Forest, 2nd on Childress.
You know, Wilbekin probably threw that ball to Sarr just a little too early. But the guy who was back there was Grayson Allen. I think Sarr could have just laid that in, not worried about the dunk, and then Allen makes you pay for it. He gets out and he goes.
2 shots for Grayson Allen, 3 for 3 tonight. Scoreless in the second half, no longer. 14 for Allen.
One of the things about Grayson Allen is I have watched him play. He's always been a guy who likes to get out and go. Now, we mentioned his second half not up to the standards of the first half, but he's still out there fighting on every single play.
15 for Allen, the lead back to 11, stops the Wake run.
In the old days, we used to call Allen a guy who didn't mind sticking his nose in there. So now here Duke, with Wake Forest suddenly getting it going a little bit, going to his zone.
Childress bangs home the 3.
Well, whether you're in a man-to-man or a zone, with as hot as Childress is right now, you've got to find him.
13 now for Brandon Childress.
No hesitation at all.
No field goals for the Blue Devils in the last 5 minutes. Carter tries to change that and does. Back down the other way. Brown had it blocked off the glass. Score the bucket.
Nice job by Wake to get out and push, but for Mike Krzyzewski and his guys, it's really a great feeling to have people down inside to whom you can throw the ball and they'll go get you a basket.
8-point game. Number 4 Duke now. After seeing Wake go to a 10-0 run. And the first piece of real momentum for Wake Forest in a long time, Dan.
Keep in mind that Darrell Moore has 3 personal fouls, and he and Carter are battling very hard down on the inside.
6 to shoot for Allen. Lob. Whoa! He threw it to Bagley out of his back pocket.
He doesn't throw that ball there unless he sees him, but I don't understand how he could see him with all the pressure he was under.
The miss from Wilbekin and Bagley to rebound.
See, if you're Wake, you got to keep up the defensive pressure.
Carter calling for it. The catch. Bagley the rebound, and a foul on the perimeter against Childress.
And Childress moved underneath him trying to block out. This is just a heck of a pass by Grayson Allen. He's basically fallen out of bounds with Darrell Moore standing right on top of him, and yet somehow he's able not only to see Bagley, but throw him a perfect pass.
So here's Bagley now, 11 points, 8 rebounds. Front hand good.
We talked about Bagley's struggles in the first half, but Wes, he's going to get his standard double-double.
Yep. And that'll be 7 against the league and 16 on the year in 20 games.
I think in the next 8 minutes and 52 seconds, he'll probably get 2 rebounds. Be an upset if he doesn't.
To say the least.
Now, Duke has answered this Wake Forest run, and so what Wake Forest has to do is make another one. Oh, boy, that's a dangerous pass.
Lob Moore. Got knocked around. Allen finally picked it off. Here's Trent on the outlet. And he'll stuff it home. 15 for Gary Trent Jr.
That ball just does not stick in Grayson Allen's hands. He knows where his guys are. He knows who's open. That was a great pass. And that baseball pass sometimes is a hard pass to throw because it's hard to control the ball.
Lob Moore. Batted away by Carter. Here's Allen. Skip for O'Connell. Trent from the corner. And Moore pulls it away. Sarr and Trent both went down in the deep corner. Here's Shawnee Brown at the other end for the layup.
You know, that was a layup, but that was a really tough shot.
The whole action covered every inch of the 94 feet. Under 8 to play. O'Connell, Allen, Bagley against Moore. Got him in the air, and there's the 4th on Darrell Moore. 9 on Wake Forest. Duke's lead is 12. Marvin Bagley starting to come alive. Gary Trent Jr. as well. We're back after a word from your local ACC station.
For Wake Forest, 32 points off those turnovers for the Duke Blue Devils. That's hard to overcome.
So here is Bagley to the line.
You know, this is a Duke team that is so good offensively, you don't need to be giving them any help.
Now 5 of 7. At the line is Marvin Bagley III. And the crowd to their feet.
Well, this is a big deal.
Yeah. Free sandwich in the offing, but Bagley kills that off.
Yeah, they have a promotion here that in the last 8 minutes of the game, and if an opposing player goes to the free throw line and misses 2 free throws, everybody in attendance gets a chicken sandwich.
Yep.
Sort of changes the way you watch basketball in the last 8 minutes.
Shawnee Brown with Brandon Childress. Inside 7.5 to go. Childress has been hot in the second half and keeps it going. He's powering the Deacons offensively, Dan. 15 now for Brandon Childress.
Now, he has been the one guy who has been making some jump shots, which we said was going to be a big key for the Deacons. And with all the problems they've had tonight, they are still within range. Of course, it's a very difficult climb against an offensive team as good as Duke.
Ball screen, Carter on the give and go from Trent, and there's Thompson's 4th foul. 10 on Wake Forest with 6:52 to go. And a quick check of the Honda Top 25 brought to you by the Honda dealers of the Carolinas. 4 ACC schools there. Clemson at 18 losing to number 2 Virginia tonight. Number 4 Duke in action. And of course, 10th ranked Carolina lost last night. And I still ask you, how's Louisville not in that top 25?
And I don't have an answer to that question, Wes, but it's going to be hard for the ACC or any other of the power conferences to maintain 5 or 6 teams in the top 25 because they beat one another up within conference play. Well, here we go again. He just missed one. We have another chance for some chicken.
The consequence of a sandwich. Carter made it.
So the sandwich lovers in the crowd are 0 for 2.
Yep. They've been denied twice. And both of them were very dramatic free throws, I might add, by both Bagley and Wendell Carter. 12-point game.
Thompson caught the ball in the middle of that Duke zone, but Thompson has not played very many minutes tonight. Only 7 minutes when he came in once more, went out with the foul problems.
And Thompson picked up 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes of the ball game tonight. Trent, a 3. Routed off. O'Connell, the follow on the offensive glass. He has 7 tonight.
And he's been a nice spark off the bench. We saw him get a steal and a layup, hit a 3, and now he gets the offensive rebound and scores.
Childress attacking. And a reach-in foul.
And that'll be against O'Connell.
First on Alex O'Connell. 6 on Duke. And we told you about the showdown with number 2 Virginia on Saturday at Cameron, and then Monday night Notre Dame is there. The Blue Devils off to St. John's at the Garden, and then
the big game.
Yep, North Carolina. Dan will be there with Tim Brando on the ACC Network in Chapel Hill on the 8th.
But that game on Saturday against Virginia, though, Wes, that has a chance to be one of the more interesting games that you'll see this year in college basketball.
Childress missed everything on the 3 there.
Well, he's been so good. Not going to make them all.
14-point Duke lead, under 6 to go now in Winston-Salem.
But this is a Duke team that has scored fewer than 81 points only once all year, playing against a Virginia team that has scored more than 81 only twice all year.
Trent going to be called for the offensive foul. His first. 7 now on Duke. No free throws at the 5:36 mark. No player control.
That's now 10 turnovers for the Duke Blue Devils.
Don't forget our triple header on Saturday. Some of you will see Miami, Florida State round 2, Syracuse and Pittsburgh at 4 o'clock also, and then at 8 o'clock, prime time, Wake Forest in Louisville at the Yum Center. Deacons go to Derby City against the Cards, who tomorrow night are in Coral Gables. Dan said that's the big game on the 4-game card tonight, or tomorrow night in the ACC. Brown, little runner, good off the baseline for Shawnee Brown.
And Brown has had a solid game. We've talked about the fact that Crawford and Wilbekin have basically been quiet, but it's been Childress and Brown stepping up and producing points in the backcourt for Wake Forest.
14 for Brown. Bagley out front. Now O'Connell under 5 to play. 12-point game again.
And again, Wes, we might remind everybody, remember Keyshawn Wood's not available for the Demon Deacons this evening.
Carter a 3.
Of course he can make a 3.
12th 3 of the year for Wendell Carter Jr. He's got 20 tonight.
He's not a high volume three-point shooter, but he is a high percentage three-point shooter.
Pushes the lead back to 15 with 4.5 to go.
Although you probably want to get a little more pressure on Carter out there, but I'd rather have him shooting out there than dunking it.
Batted away, and Mitchell reached around to foul Bagley. And Donovan Mitchell draws his 3rd.
The foul is on number 2. Donovan Mitchell is 3rd.
And a couple of free throws coming up for the Blue Devils. And
well, there's no such thing in the ACC anywhere as an easy schedule, but this good heavens.
Well, we were talking today about Danny Manning's schedule, and then I was reminding you that BC's first 3 road games were, what, Virginia, Carolina, and then the other night at Louisville on Sunday afternoon. I mean, there's no layups anywhere, Dan.
No, but that schedule we just showed you for Wake Forest, that'll grow some hair on your chest.
Bagley's got 16 double-doubles, Dan. 7 against the league.
And he's got 11 points, now 12 points and 7 rebounds in the second half.
Yeah. And a 17-point lead for number 4 Duke.
Well, nice response by the Duke Blue Devils. Wake cut it to 8, and the crowd was into it, and Wake just couldn't hang on.
Childress another 3. 3 of them in this second half. He's got 18 tonight. 16 in the frame. As we go under 4 to play.
And Wes Duval not having a very good offensive game tonight. He spent a lot of time on the bench, and Grayson Allen has basically taken over the ball handling responsibilities and done a really nice job.
Well, we'll get a timeout after the foul on Childress. A lot of plays at the iron tonight for both schools. Doral Moore's headlined the Deacs. Bagley and Trent for the Blue Devils. Tonight at the Coliseum in Winston-Salem. What a remarkable basketball life for Tim Duncan, Dan. Allen hits them both. 17 for Allen, 16-point Duke lead. You like this zone the Blue Devils employ from time to time, Dan?
You know, I think it really helps them because it forces teams that have a pretty good movement going against them. It forces them to stand around. That's what we saw against Miami. And
yeah.
Duke is primarily a man-to-man team, but this is a very young team, and I think that's the hardest thing to do is put a defensive concept together with so many young players, and sometimes the zone helps. Now, they don't play the zone the way Syracuse plays the zone, but I think it does help them from time to time, and there Bagley picks up another offensive foul.
And he and Mitchell jockeying. Fourth on Marvin Bagley III, and player control means no free throws, despite Wake being in the bonus. Duke's in the double bonus as we work through the final 3:07.
Bagley just trying to force his way. But the zone is a very good change of pace. You know, I don't think the Blue Devils can play it like Syracuse does, and that means you play it all the time, exclusive of any other defense. There's Moore again. Hasn't missed a shot. That's 6 offensive rebounds of his 12 total.
If you go back to Sunday, he's now made 10 straight from the floor as Doral Moore from Atlanta. Fine ball game here tonight. He's got 18. Childress has a career high as well for the Deacons with 18. Allen got caught in the air. They got knocked back out of bounds. Last touch by Wake Forest, says Roger Ayers.
Now that time, if you're going to take the ball like that, I think you have to shoot it. Once you leave your feet, it's going to be very difficult for you to make a pass.
Up that loss, as hard as it's going to be, though, Dan.
Well, you don't have any time to do it. You're in the middle of a brutal ACC schedule. You sort of got to do everything on the fly. Nobody for Clemson has to do everything, but everybody on that team has to do a little bit more. And it's going to take a little while for people to adjust to the new roles.
Carter working on Moore. 2 to shoot. And Doral Moore fouls out. So Moore will foul out of the ball game with 2:18 to play. Wendell Carter Jr. heads to the line, and he's our Chevy performance of the game tonight. 20 points, 10 rebounds. And we told you his 9th double-double, his 4th against the conference, his 2nd against the Deacons.
But how about this, Wes? In addition to those numbers, he's also got 2 assists, he's blocked 2 shots, and he has a steal.
And Doral Moore, 18 points, 10 straight field goals for Doral Moore, dating back to Sunday, and then 9 of 9 tonight.
Nothing more you can ask from Doral Moore if you are Danny Manning and the Wake Forest coaching staff. He had an outstanding game.
18 points and a dozen boards tonight for Doral Moore. Front rim miss for Wendell Carter.
Here we go with the sandwiches again.
14-point game with 2:18 to play. Carter denied them earlier and will here. You will not eat free at the hand of Wendell Carter in this building.
Just disappointment all around. I think Coach Odom was really looking forward to that chicken sandwich, too.
Childress and the rebound for Carter. Final 2 minutes here from Winston-Salem. This will be 5 straight for Duke and 7 of their last 8. And we'll push them to 6-2 in the league and 18-2 overall. Wake Forest is going to take their 6th straight loss and 8 of their last 9. There's Trent on the layup.
How about that? You know, you're in a situation where you're trying to run the clock down, and Duke has multiple guys that can score at the end of the shot clock.
And Mitchell reaches in, draws the foul, and that's 4 on Donovan Mitchell. I've been impressed tonight with the physical way Gary Trent Jr.'s gone to the basket.
Well, he is a big, strong guy, Wes. We've been talking about his three-point shooting ability, but one of the things that you hear about him all the time is how well he can go to the basket. And even though Duval has not had a good game tonight, hasn't scored at all, this is a group of fabulous freshmen.
Yep.
And devilish future. Well, the future, I'm afraid, for Duke fans doesn't go beyond this year, because I don't think any of those guys will be around next year.
Bagley's night is over,
but you can sure enjoy him this year.
Yeah, no question. It's a talented group, and the one thing you respect, I think, more about their success is that how quickly they have gelled in terms of the mission that Mike Krzyzewski wants, the program standards, philosophies he has, and the way this team is moving forward, seemingly step by step.
And Wes, you're absolutely right, and I think that's the key for Duke, is they are moving forward. They're still tinkering a little bit. The guys are still getting used to one another. They're playing better defense, certainly.
Yeah.
This is a team that I don't think has come anywhere close to reaching its full potential.
Shawnee Brown, little runner on Delorier, good. We got to be encouraged by Brown, who's got 16 tonight, 10 in the second half for Wake Forest. And Trent and Duke here in the final minute and change.
1 minute.
Crawford goes to work defensively against Gary Trent Jr. Down the lane, and the soft runner bounces off the back iron, and Childress the rebound. Crawford, a catch and shoot. Long three for Crawford, good. Second field goal of the night for Crawford.
And obviously his first three. He's had a tough night, but he's actually now reached double figures because he's made 5 free throws. But a very difficult night for Crawford and for Wilbekin. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think it was because Duke did such a nice job with pressure against the ball. They really did a nice job keeping the Deacons out of the lane.
82-68. By the way, that's Jordan Goldwire, the freshman from Norcross, Georgia, handling the ball. He's on the floor for the first time tonight for Duke, and Wake Forest has brought Mello Eggleston onto the deck as well for the first time tonight. 6 to shoot. Trent fouled at the rack. And free throws with 18 seconds left. Donovan Mitchell fouls out of the ball game. And don't forget, on Saturday at 4 o'clock, you'll see either Pitt at Syracuse, or Syracuse at Pitt, I should say, or Miami at Florida State. By the way, the Hurricanes beat the Noles on a Sunday night about 3 weeks ago, Dan.
I think that's a really good game. And for Miami, how about their week? They've got Louisville, and then they've got Florida State. As we said, there's no easy marks in the ACC, but you just have to scratch your head how some of these guys are going to handle this.
The Noles are 3-4 in the league, 14-5 overall. They host Georgia Tech tomorrow night at the Tucker Center. Final 18 seconds tonight. Winston-Salem is Gary Trent Jr. knocks down both free throws. Pretty nice effort for Trent.
Well, you read scouting reports about Trent, and everybody talks about his explosiveness, and we saw that on display here tonight. He's not only an outstanding three-point shooter, but he can get to the goal, and he can be a load to try to defend.
Final 10 seconds. Wake Forest headed to Louisville on Saturday, and Duke back home for a huge single game contest in the ACC slate against number 2 Virginia. Those single games, Dan, have found a way since the league went to beyond the round robin. Those single games have become very, very critical, seemingly almost every year. And now Duke Virginia stands to be one this year. Delorier going to foul out of the ball game. Here in the final 3.6, and Olivier Sarr from Toulouse in southern France. gets his first point of the night.
I thought he flashed some potential tonight. He did a nice job moving his feet, and defensively, of course, he needs about 20 more pounds.
He's still just 18 years old, by the way. And Duke will put the ball in play, and the Blue Devils on to their 5th straight win and 7 of their last 8. 84 to